Well, recently on the show, we've been raising the alarm about MS-13. We've been doing it because we think it's important. MS-13 is an international crime cartel. It's not an overstatement. It's based in El Salvador. It has rapidly become one of America's largest and deadliest street gangs. There are more than 10,000 members in this country. They run criminal enterprises in at least 40 states. How bad are things getting on America's streets, and what are police doing to keep them in check? Timothy Sinai is the police chief for Suffolk County, New York, where MS-13 activity recently was suspected in a horrific, truly horrific quadruple homicide. He joins us tonight. Mr. Commissioner, thanks a lot for coming on.
Thank you, Tucker, for having me.
So tell us first about this crime, if you would, the quadruple homicide.
Sure. So last week we had 4 homicides. These individuals, all of whom were young people, were brutally and savagely murdered. We suspect MS-13 involvement, and this is not the first set of homicides committed by MS-13 in our community. In September of 2016, we tragically lost Nisa Mickens and Kayla Cuevas, a 15-year-old and a 16-year-old girls who went to Brentwood High School, and they were savagely murdered by MS-13. Fortunately, we solved that case. Those individuals have been federally indicted, and in fact, they're eligible for the death penalty. But now we have this quadruple homicide in Central Islip, which is right next to Brentwood, where the prior murders were. And we've declared war on MS-13. We've rolled out a very aggressive strategy, but this is a long-term war. And as you've mentioned repeatedly, MS-13 is a serious threat.
Well, by the numbers, a greater threat than ISIS to American citizens in this country. Brutality seems to be the hallmark of a lot of what they do.
Indeed. In fact, unlike many other gangs, they engage in violence for the sake of violence. So many gangs will use violence to protect their economic crimes like drug dealing and other economic crimes. MS-13 will use violence to increase its reputation on the street. And also the level of brutality is unique to MS-13. So we need to be doing everything we can in this country to combat this gang.
Yeah, it's not just shooting people. It's doing things that I won't describe on television, but they're legitimately horrible. So where did this come from? I mean, 10 years ago, we were not doing segments on MS-13.
Sure. So MS-13 has its roots in El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. Oftentimes MS-13 will prey on recent immigrants to this country. They'll prey on the vulnerable. They'll prey on the young. Indeed, we've had a large influx of immigrants from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador in many of our communities in Suffolk County. And these are individuals who are young. Oftentimes they're not here with their parents. They don't speak English. This is the first time they're in this country, and they're vulnerable. And MS-13 will prey on these individuals. And that's a serious problem we have in our communities throughout this entire country.
So we're rolling tape now of federal immigration officers arresting MS-13 members. Do you have any sense of how many active members of the gang are here illegally?
I wouldn't have that number nationally, but I will say this. Certainly, they prey on individuals who have come here illegally. Many MS-13 members are clearly here illegally. Obviously, most people who are here undocumented are law-abiding folks. In fact, we've seen significant crime reductions in communities that have a lot of undocumented immigrants. But nonetheless, that doesn't change the fact that many MS-13 gang members are folks who came here illegally. In fact, out of the 13 defendants who were indicted in the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York, 5 of whom who were indicted for the murders that I described with respect to Nisa Mickens and Kayla Cuevas, 11 came here illegally. 7 were unaccompanied, were folks who came through the unaccompanied children program.
So this problem's been growing for the past 10 years anyway. Do you think you've been getting the kind of federal support you need over that time?
So we work very closely with our federal law enforcement partners. Our strategy is very clear. It's all about intelligence, collecting intelligence. So we collect as much intelligence as possible. We identify gang members, and then we target them aggressively. We utilize our gang officers in the Suffolk County Police Department, who are highly effective officers. We utilize our firearm suppression team, which are very motivated and highly trained officers, and we make street arrests. Since we rolled out this initiative, we've made over 170 arrests of known MS-13 gang members, all while working with our federal law enforcement partners, including the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office, to build those RICO cases.
Right.
because
Good
RICO
for
is
you.
really the tool to eradicate MS-13.
Well, it killed the mafia.
That's
for
exactly
sure.
right. And it's effective because, one, it carries stiff penalties. So if you assault someone on the street, say you punch them in the face, that is not, you're not going to do significant time for that in the state system. But if you can prove that it's in furtherance of gang activity and furtherance of MS-13, it's a whole nother ball game, and you can literally make a federal case out of it. So RICO is very effective. It usually carries a maximum of life imprisonment and sometimes the death penalty.
Wow. Commissioner, thanks a lot for filling us in on that. Appreciate it.
Thank you.